Johnny Carson, the legendary host of The Tonight Show, was known for his sharp wit and impeccable taste, but also for his unforgiving nature when it came to guests who crossed him. While there isn't a definitive list of 27 talk show moments Carson hated, several incidents and guests notably fell out of favor with him. Here's a breakdown of some of the most infamous. Joan Rivers was once one of Johnny Carson's most trusted and frequent guest hosts on The Tonight Show. Their professional relationship seemed solid, and Carson had even mentored her to some extent. However, everything changed in 1986 when Rivers accepted an offer from the new Fox network to host her own late-night show, The Late Show starring Joan Rivers. She didn't inform Carson personally about the move, and he found out through the media. Carson took the perceived betrayal personally and was deeply hurt by what he saw as disloyalty. As a result, he not only banned Rivers from ever appearing on The Tonight Show again during his tenure, but also reportedly never spoke to her again. Even after his retirement and eventual passing, the rift remained. For decades, Rivers was effectively blacklisted from the show, a ban that wasn't lifted until after Carson's departure. This moment remains one of the most dramatic and well-known falling outs in talk show history, highlighting how personal and high-stakes the late-night television world can be. Rich Little, a master impressionist, was once a popular and frequent guest on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Known for his uncanny ability to mimic celebrities, including Carson himself, Little was a hit with audiences. At first, Carson seemed to enjoy the impersonations, even laughing along with the rest of the viewers. However, over time, things changed. Carson, known for being intensely private and particular about his image, began to grow uncomfortable with Little's impressions of him. Some reports suggest that Carson felt the impersonations were too accurate or perhaps even mocking in tone. Rather than confront Little directly, Carson simply stopped inviting him back. The ban was never officially announced, but Little eventually noticed he was no longer welcome. This quiet dismissal reflected Carson's style. He rarely created open conflict but made firm decisions behind the scenes. Despite the fallout, Little went on to have a successful career elsewhere, though his exclusion from The Tonight Show served as a reminder of how seriously Carson took control over his show and public persona. Bobcat Goldthwait, known for his wild and unpredictable comedic style, made one of the most infamous appearances on The Tonight Show in 1994. During his guest segment, Goldthwait unexpectedly set his chair on fire as part of a chaotic on-air stunt. The moment was meant to be edgy and comedic, but it instead caused confusion and concern among the audience and production crew. Johnny Carson was not hosting at the time. Jay Leno had taken over, but Carson reportedly disapproved of the stunt from afar. NBC executives and the fire department took the incident seriously, and Goldthwait was fined for reckless behavior. The event quickly led to him being banned from The Tonight Show. Goldthwait later admitted the act was ill-advised, though it fit his outrageous brand of humor. Still, the moment damaged his relationship with mainstream talk shows for years. The incident remains one of the most shocking in late-night TV history and is often cited as a cautionary tale about pushing boundaries too far on live television. Howie Mandel, now well known for hosting Deal or No Deal and serving as a judge on America's Got Talent, was once a frequent guest on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. In the early stages of his comedy career, Mandel was known for his quirky, unpredictable humor, often involving props and physical comedy. During one of his appearances, he brought an enormous 12-foot saber-toothed tiger prop onto the set, a stunt that was meant to be humorous and attention-grabbing. However, Johnny Carson was reportedly unimpressed and found the bit to be overly gimmicky and unprofessional. Known for preferring a more traditional and polished comedic style, Carson didn't appreciate what he saw as a lack of respect for the show's format and tone. As a result, Mandel was quietly banned from future appearances. Although Mandel continued to find success in television and stand-up, his relationship with Carson never recovered. The incident underscores Carson's famously high standards for his show and how quickly a guest could fall out of favor if they didn't align with his expectations for professionalism and decorum. Dana Carvey, a stand-up performer on Saturday Night Live, was famous for his impressions, one of which was Johnny Carson. While many found his portrayal hilarious, Carson reportedly took offense to a particular sketch where Carvey depicted him as an Arsenio Hall wannabe, suggesting Carson was out of touch and trying to stay relevant in a changing late-night landscape. Carson, who was known for keeping tight control over his public image, didn't find the satire amusing. When Carvey later appeared on The Tonight Show, Carson was noticeably cold. During the interview, Carson abruptly cut Carvey off mid-conversation, ending the segment early and making it clear he was not pleased. That moment marked the end of Carvey's appearances on the show. While no formal ban was issued, Carvey was never invited back, and the tension between them remained unresolved. The incident serves as a reminder of Carson's sensitivity to criticism, even in jest, and how quickly relationships with him could sour if he felt disrespected, especially by fellow comedians who had once been welcomed on his stage. Wayne Newton, the famed Las Vegas entertainer known as Mr. Vegas, once enjoyed a friendly rapport with Johnny Carson. However, their relationship soured dramatically in the early 1980s after Newton outbid Carson for ownership of the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas. Following the deal, Carson began mocking Newton in his Tonight Show monologues, often making jokes that questioned Newton's masculinity and finances. Newton took offense to the ongoing ridicule and felt that the jokes crossed the line from comedy into personal attacks. He responded publicly, accusing Carson of spreading false and damaging rumors. Tensions escalated when Newton filed a lawsuit against Carson, further deepening the divide between the two entertainers. The feud became highly publicized, and Newton was never invited back to The Tonight Show. Carson, who had a reputation for holding grudges, cut all ties. The conflict not only ended their professional relationship but also stood out as one of Carson's most notable and bitter celebrity disputes. It highlighted Carson's powerful influence in entertainment, and the personal cost of falling out of favor with late-night television's most iconic host. Brad Garrett, best known for his role on Everybody Loves Raymond, had a rocky experience early in his career with The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. As a young stand-up comedian, Garrett was given the incredible opportunity to perform on the legendary show, a platform that could launch a comedian's career overnight. However, before his scheduled appearance, producers asked Garrett to alter part of his stand-up routine, requesting that he remove or change certain material they deemed inappropriate for the show's tone. Garrett, confident in his act and perhaps feeling creatively stifled, refused to make the changes. Despite performing anyway, his decision did not sit well with the show's producers, or with Carson himself, who maintained strict control over the show's content and professionalism. As a result, Garrett was banned from future appearances. While the ban may have slowed his early momentum on the late-night circuit, Garrett went on to enjoy a successful acting and comedy career. The Smothers Brothers, Tom and Dick, were a musical comedy duo known for their sharp wit and willingness to tackle controversial social and political topics. During the 1960s, they gained fame with the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, which frequently pushed boundaries and criticized authority, including the government and the Vietnam War. While their act resonated with younger, progressive audiences, Johnny Carson preferred to keep The Tonight Show politically neutral, aiming for broad, mainstream appeal. Carson was known for avoiding polarizing topics, believing that late-night television should be a place for light entertainment, not political debate. Though the Smothers Brothers were talented performers, their rebellious and provocative tone clashed with Carson's vision for the show. As a result, they were gradually phased out and rarely, if ever, appeared on The Tonight Show. While there was no formal ban, their absence was noticeable and understood within the industry. The situation illustrates Carson's firm control over his show's tone and guest list, as well as his aversion to controversy that might alienate viewers or advertisers during a politically charged era in American television. Charles Groden was a talented actor and comedian known for his deadpan delivery and confrontational, often awkward style of humor. During his talk show appearances, including those on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, Groden would frequently play an exaggerated version of himself, grumpy, irritated, or even combative. To many viewers, this was part of the joke, a kind of performance art that blurred the line between reality and satire. However, Johnny Carson, who preferred witty yet polished banter with a sense of mutual respect, was reportedly less amused. Groden's unpredictable energy and refusal to play along made interviews uncomfortable and left Carson, and sometimes the audience, wondering whether Groden was serious or joking. While Groden wasn't officially banned, he was eventually phased out from the guest list. Carson valued smooth-flowing conversations and didn't appreciate guests who disrupted the pacing or made him feel upstaged. Despite this, Groden remained a frequent and welcome guest on other talk shows, like David Letterman's, where his offbeat humor found a more receptive audience. His Tonight Show appearances remain memorable for their boldness, if not their compatibility with Carson's style. Crispin Glover, known for his eccentric performances and unpredictable behavior, made headlines during a 1987 appearance on Late Night with David Letterman. In one of the most infamous moments in late-night history, Glover, apparently in character, challenged Letterman to an impromptu physical contest and nearly kicked him in the face on live television. Letterman, clearly unsettled, walked off the set, and the segment abruptly ended. While this incident didn't happen on The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson took note. Known for tightly controlling the tone and decorum of his program, Carson steered clear of guests who posed any risk of unpredictable or disruptive behavior. Glover's bizarre stunt all but guaranteed he would never be invited to appear on Carson's show. Carson favored guests who were polished, respectful, and who contributed to smooth, entertaining interviews. Glover's offbeat and sometimes jarring style simply didn't fit that mold. Although Glover continued acting in acclaimed films, his reputation for erratic public appearances limited his talk show exposure. His absence from The Tonight Show exemplifies how Carson guarded his platform from chaotic or potentially embarrassing moments. Oliver Reed, the British actor renowned for his intense performances and equally intense off-screen persona, was widely known for his heavy drinking and unpredictable behavior during interviews. Though immensely talented, Reed had a reputation for appearing on television intoxicated, often causing chaos during live broadcasts. His interviews were infamous in the UK, with several devolving into incoherent rants or awkward, confrontational exchanges. Johnny Carson, who prided himself on maintaining a smooth and professional tone on The Tonight Show, saw Reed as a potential liability. While Reed was never officially booked on the show, insiders believe Carson deliberately avoided inviting him due to his reputation. Carson disliked guests who couldn't be controlled or who might embarrass the show on live TV. Reed's volatility made him too risky, especially in an era when live television left little room for damage control. By keeping Reed off the guest list entirely, Carson preserved the polished, dependable atmosphere that viewers expected. Though Reed enjoyed a successful film career, his erratic public behavior limited his exposure on major American talk shows, especially one as tightly managed as Carson's. Shelly Winters, a two-time Academy Award-winning actress, was known not only for her talent but also for her fiery and outspoken personality. She was never one to hold back her opinions, whether in interviews or during live television appearances. One particularly infamous incident occurred on a different talk show when Winters, offended by a male guest's sexist comment, stood up and poured a glass of water on him mid-conversation. The moment was caught on camera and quickly became a notorious example of her unpredictability. Johnny Carson, who valued a controlled and respectful environment on The Tonight Show, reportedly found Winters too volatile for his taste. While she was never formally banned, her appearances were limited, and Carson became increasingly reluctant to invite her back. He preferred guests who kept interviews light and engaging, without veering into confrontation or drama. Winters' boldness, though admired by some, didn't align with the tone Carson carefully curated. Her reduced presence on the show highlights Carson's preference for smooth, non-controversial interactions and his unwillingness to risk live television chaos, even from acclaimed stars.